This is called the Coongan River. Coongan. C-O-O-N-G-A-N. If that ever gets in flood, that'd be pretty spectacular. Look at that view out there, folks. Don't you just love it? I do. As I'm driving along here towards the intersection that takes me to Port Hedland, I'm really ruminating on whether I really need to go 40 k's backwards into Port Hedland just to get something that will aid in the charging of a couple of batteries. And I'm saying, no, I don't need to. It's a retrograde step. I can do without these little things until I get to Broome, where I know there's big shops and what have you. So instead of going 40 k's backwards and then 40 k's again to get to the same intersection, I think we'll just press on. We'll turn to the right and head on up the coast, and I'll get my items in Broome. Never go back, always go forward. So here is the Great Northern Highway, and we're not going to go into Port Hedland because I don't like Port Hedland much. It's such a painful place to get around in now, and I'm going to just turn right and we're going to head up towards Broome. Yep, there's a sign that says Broome. We'll have a clean sweep. Okay. We won't, of course, make Broome today. It's way too far away. But we might end up going to Pardo or one of those other little places that we stopped in a few months ago and reacquaint ourselves. Okay, here we go, here we go, here we go. Well, Pardo is 102 and Broome is 560 from here. But that's way too much because it's 25 minutes past 2. I think Pardo station sounds like a good option from here. So let's say that's where we're going. We're now coming up to the De Grey River 24-hour rest area, which used to be really nice, but you can't get down on the riverbanks anymore because they've screened it off, they've fenced it off, and it's all sort of a paved section, ideal for caravans, but I don't particularly fancy it anymore. I'll be interested to see how many people are actually pulled up alongside. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it looks like a little holiday park. Well, as Robbie Burns once said, the best laid plans of mice and men. I just turned into Pardo Station access road thinking that, oh yeah, I'll go down there and just camp there overnight, but there's a big sign up, no vacancy. So now, it being a Friday afternoon and we're, what, 70 kilometres outside of Port Hedland, I suppose most of the Port Hedlandites head north for their fishing. And there is an awful lot of caravans coming this way. And I'm just wondering whether there's going to be vacancies because the pandemic obviously has put a premium on caravan and camping sites for people who want to travel. And I'm just hoping that when I get to the Pardo Roadhouse that there is somewhere that I can park the beast. I don't need much space, I just need to be able to park the car and pop the tent is basically all I need. hopefully I'll be able to do that at the Roadhouse. There's the sign, Pardo, fuel, meal, caravans and tents. That's all I want. And that'll save me from having to go back down to Cape Canaveral. Well, tonight we couldn't get into the Pardo station, so we've done the next best thing, which is the Pardo Roadhouse. And I've had a couple of beers, I will admit, because they have a tavern attached. And I'm now into cooking a little batch of spaghetti bolognese. Let's see how it's going. Oh yes, that looks okay to me. Water's boiling, or will be boiling shortly, for my spaghetti. I haven't put the annex up, as you can see. There's no need. It's been a stinking hot day. And I've had a nice shower and a shampoo and a shave. So things are hunky-dory. Well, there's no finessing tonight. I haven't even put a light on. But we're ready. We'll serve and we'll eat off the tailgate. Simple. And this makes for a quick getaway in the morning, because I think we'll make for Broome tomorrow. And I can get the things that I'm looking for, because it's going to be Saturday. And then I will press on. Away from civilization. Cold, moist start to the day today. A lot of condensation overnight. The tent is wet. There was condensation inside, actually, dripping on me. So that's an issue that I'm going to have to deal with at some stage. Probably put a lining in it. But otherwise it's a great tent, but I think it's a flaw. We're about ready to leave the Pardo Roadhouse. In fact, we're not about ready, we're actually leaving. I'll just program, oh, here we go. Go back to map. Go for it. I've got to perform a U-turn according to Karen. Anyway, here we go. That was a pleasant little camping area. I got to have a shower, as I think I mentioned, and do all those other things. I shaved and washed my hair. And beautiful morning this morning. So now we're on our way. Well, this 458 kilometre stretch of road between Pardo Roadhouse and Broome is probably one of the most isolated stretches of road in Australia, and it's also quite uninteresting. Very similar in a sense to crossing the Nullarbor for big stretches. You can see it's just a straight road, nothing much to look at on either side. You just tootle along. I'm sort of tootling along at about 2200 revs and about 192 kilometres per hour. And I will do this for a few hours and I'll be in Broome. It's now 10 to 8 in the morning, and according to my GPS, I will probably be in Broome around about 1/4 past midday. There we are, we might get a nice bit of shade. Well, there's the Victorians I let past me earlier. The nurse and the plumber. Oh, there's a boy in a hurry. Probably got a muster to go to or something. We've left the Sandfire Roadhouse, obviously, and we're now heading towards Broome, and I think there won't be any more scenes until we get to Broome because it's just a boring old road. I actually had a caravan that followed me for, crikey, well over 100 k's, and I gave him every opportunity to pass. No. Hung on my tail for about 100 k's, and I'm just tootling along 89, 88 k, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, after about 100 k's, he decides he wants to pass me, and then he took off. And I can see him now, he's probably about a kilometre ahead of me, following another caravan that obviously got sick of waiting behind him and passed him and then passed me. it's crazy, people are really funny. Anyway, well, 4 months ago when I came back here, if you've watched the videos, those of you who've seen it, this is the Roebuck Plains, and there was quite a substantial amount of water from memory lying around, and there was lots of bird life, but you can see now how dry it's become, and as I look at the side of the road, there are no puddles, nothing, it's just completely dried out. Coffee time again. Ooh, we might find a little bit of shade. Will we? Oh, not much. Not much. It'll do. It'll do. A little bit is as good as anything. Okay, that's coffee. I'm starting to have issues again with this telephone. Back at, where was I, Sandfire, I couldn't check in with my QR code. It said no network connection, and yet the lady behind the counter had a Samsung phone and she said she had no problem. So I actually switched it off, and now it's asking me, of course, for another password. So I'll have to see when I get to Broome. I'm sick of these damn telephones that you can't use for whatever reason. Am I doing something wrong? I don't know. Anyway. Slow down. Roadworks, prepare to start. For more tourists, I see. Literally. It's like a game of leapfrog driving along these roads, because there was a big truck pulled in next to me when I was at Sandfire, and huge, big, long road train, and I just passed him, pulled off in a lay-by, obviously, because he's a truckie, he has to have certain periods of rest. But I'd had a stop. Obviously he passed me when I was having my coffee way back when. So it's a constant game of leapfrog, and nobody gets there any quicker. They all get there at the same time. Well, I've been all around Broome, and it's the Shinju Matsuri Festival. The races are on tonight, so there's not a room at the inn. I feel like Mary and Joseph. So I'm going to get out of here and head out towards Willair Bridge. Oh, crazy. It's just Broome. It would be comical if it wasn't so tragic, because They were pushing Broome as poor Broome. They weren't getting any tourists when COVID started. Now they've got so many they don't know how to handle them. It's crazy. I'm not even going to ask at the Rowie if they have a room. Can I get my old room back? No. I'm just going to go down here, do a little bit more shopping because I need water, and then I'm heading out towards Willair Bridge. Sometimes you can just strike it lucky with some accommodations, and I think I've fallen into that particular predicament today. This is called the Broome Gateway Caravan Park, and it's a pet-friendly caravan park tucked in off the main road from Roebuck Plains Roadhouse into Broome itself. And Broome this morning was absolute pandemonium, and I just quickly did some shopping, went to a couple of caravan parks, realised that they were all full, had no vacancies, people packed in like sardines, and I will continue on in another scene. Now, as I was saying, Broome is absolute pandemonium, mainly because, as I mentioned on the previous or another scene, the Shinju festival is on apparently, and I believe the races were also on, so every man and his dog has come to Broome, and accommodation is very scarce, except for this place apparently, and this is really nice from what I can see. So I'll do a little bit of a wander in a few minutes, and or maybe even tomorrow, and show you around. Now, because I had an issue with in-car charging, I've had to bring out my little portable charger pack, and I'm charging currently my telephone and one of the GoPros over here. I won't stand in the sun and block it all up because it's precious enough to get the charge into it. But I was in Broome and I bought another cigarette lighter adapter thing with USB ports on it, which do work. So hopefully tomorrow, or whenever the next time I'm driving along, I will be able to fully charge my gear.
I know it's great to be an Aussie and to travel this great land, and to feel the bond and mateship we know and understand. And although it's all been said before, story, verse and song, but we love our home Australia, it is here where we belong. Tell the stories, struggles, sweat and blood we've endured on Mother Nature, the fire that drowned her floods, and we fought the wars, we buried our sons, try to get on with our lives. We built a nation like no other, with a strong will to survive. This lake where we live today, beneath sunny skies of blue, from the cities to the outback, we can live the life we choose. We love cricket, we love our footy, but the Eagles have lost. Hot meat pie, then a nice cold beer. This laid-back way of life we lead, well, Aussies hold so dear. And we're proud of our anzacs, those who don the green and gold. On other war and sport and heroes, many stories have we told. We have freedom that we cherish, here beneath those southern stars. To have a spirit that can't be broken, and that's what makes us who we are. And we know it's great to be an Aussie and to travel this great land, and to feel the bond and mateship we know and understand. And although it's all been said before, story, verse and song, but we love our home Australia, it is here we belong. We have welcomed many people to our shores from overseas, and if they want to be Australian, well, that's alright by me. And as they line up on Australia Day, they know no more they'll roam, or they will swear a solemn oath today, they will call Australia home. For they know it's great to be an Aussie and to travel this great land, and to feel the bond and mateship we know and understand. And although it's all been said before, the story, verse and song, we love our home Australia, it is here we belong. Yes, we love our home Australia, it is here we belong.
Different shot. I'm actually heading back into Broome. I've been staying at that Gateway Caravan Park, which is really, really good. I'm enjoying it. But I've got to go into town. It's Sunday morning, and I'm going into Repco because I broke my LED strip light, and I need to either replace it or find something to repair it with. But isn't this a different shot? I've just been into Broome, and I'm just going to put this onto time lapse to show you how easy this tent is to go up. It might actually go so quick you won't even notice it on time lapse. I did say I'd do a little bit of a tour around the Gateway Caravan Park. Over here is the ablution block, which are pretty basic, but all you need, there are 3 toilets in there in the males and 3 shower units and a big open area. They also have a laundry with some machines that take $6, 3 $2 coins, and a campus kitchen. Laundry, plenty of hanging space, and a campus kitchen. And there are all sorts of different little facilities that I don't even know what they are, but there's shady spots, and then they have 3 barbecues there, and there's a fire pit, and you'll notice that the singer was there last night, Terry Bennett's, who was very good. He was playing up here, that I got 1 song of his on video. So it's that's another convenience block, I think, shower block. But there's all sorts of things all over the place, and you know, no power, but what more could you want? And there's a dog run. Look, it's pet friendly, a dog run. I mean, obviously this is not all of it over. Where you see that big white tank thing in the background, there is actually another lodge. There is other alternative accommodations. It's not just a caravan park. And there is the beast in the distance. And it is so hot, it's about 33 degrees, I just checked earlier. And I think I'm going to go and sit under the shade again. I've been doing that for most of the morning now. Well, it's 25 to 7 on a morning. I've lost count of which one it is on. We're now leaving the Gateway Caravan Park in Broome, and we're going to head firstly to Willair, and from then we're going to go back to Mimbi Caves, because I've booked a campsite at that wonderful campground that I stumbled into last trip, and I've also booked a tour of the caves with the indigenous guides, the owners and operators of the place. So that's going to be really interesting. Looking forward to that. So we'll catch up with you soon. And there's a road train tanker with 3 big tanks of liquefied natural gas. Can you imagine if that blew up? I'm just seeing which way he's headed, whether he's turning or if I'm going to end up following him. I think he's turning. I'm just going to pull into Nilimbaka rest stop and get some water out of the back of my fridge. First I'll offload some rubbish here. Oh, there's a few caravans around, isn't there? Campers. This is the
the overflow. They can't get into Broome, or they're on their way to Broome.
Turn left on 1.
Okay, we've done the rubbish thing. Onwards. We're crossing over this bridge and it's called Ski Lake. I can see why. There's a bit of water in it. I don't know if you'd want to ski in there though. This is the Willair Bridge and it's the Fitzroy River we're crossing over, and it's got water in it. You can't see it, of course, because the camera's pointing straight ahead. Silly me. Anyway, I can assure you that there is water there in the Fitzroy River. And we're coming into the actual Roadhouse shortly, where I will do a fit stop. There's the Fitzroy River again that we're crossing, courtesy of this gentleman who just flashed us through. Thank you. Okay. Well, this is where we turn right towards Fitzroy Crossing and we depart the Savannah Way for highway number 1, and of course we are now in Boab country where these magnificent trees are, and we're about to go to the big Boab tree which we saw last time round. Karen's telling me to do a right hand turn, which I will indicate to those following behind, of which there are none right now. And we're going to head out towards Fitzroy Crossing. But we'll also pull in and see that magnificent big tree that's along here. And the road is open, all the signs are saying yes, road's open. And of course we're repeating ourselves now, because we did stop at this big Boab, but it's such a magnificent big tree, this one. Beautiful big thing. And I don't know how old it is. Pretty old. And there's black cockatoos flying alongside me. There's a baby Boab. There. And there is that big magnificent beast of a tree. Look at it. Ah, I love that tree. I love that tree. What stories it could tell. Anyway, let's go. We've got a fair distance to go today. So, we'll bid fond farewell to the tree. The chappie was in a bit of a hurry. So, let him past. We didn't have much choice. There's a lot of expensive equipment getting around. Oh, this is a horse float, I think. Oh no, it's a Kimberley cruiser. Okay. Now that's an off-road thing, that one. You can bash that one around and it'll stand up to the punishment. I sometimes feel like the tortoise being chased by the hares, because I left very early this morning and I'm tootling along at 2,500, not even 2,500 revs and about 86 k's, and obviously all the ones who sleep in end up passing me through the day because they put their foot to the floor, flat to the floor, and away they go. And I've got 2 or 3 coming behind me here, but we're coming up on the crest of a hill, so they won't pass. But it's amazing the number of people who absolutely belt along these roads at, you know, over 110 k's per hour. No, he's still not going to go. Here he goes now. Go on, pal. What about the one behind you? Yep, here's another one. Well, I think it's time for a cup of coffee. Oh, look at this. Oh, look at this. Oh, there's a nice little table and chair there for me. Beautiful. Right on, baby. Well, I'm going to sit here and have my coffee. And you might see in the background is a huge big boab tree. It's all fenced off. And I do notice that there's a sign. So after I've had my coffee and my muesli bars, we'll go and have a look at it and see what it's all about. Seeing that we are being tourists, and I don't think I've actually been in this little rest area before. It's quite pleasant. Got the nice concrete table and chairs and a shelter, and a big boab tree. What more could you want? We'll go and have a look at it in a tick. Now, one of the things that I really, really hate to see is these rest areas, people have no toilet facilities, and this is what you see. Toilet paper strewn all over the place and rubbish. Now, this is things that the tourism industry don't really want you to see, but they're there, and it's very, very bad up here. And I noticed a previous trip they've actually taken rubbish bins away. And so where do people A, have a crap, and B, put their rubbish? They're supposed to take it with them, but they don't. They leave it. When the longer this pandemic lasts, the more and more tourists are going to be on the roads. And I mean, that's evident from the scenes that I had in Broome. Broome is just absolutely ridiculous. And, you know, it's almost like the authorities are victims of their own success. So they need to lift their game and really start putting money into some better facilities. Now let's look at this big boab tree and see what the sign says. Look at that thing. That is huge. This is the Lian Yaraman Jukur Nyakinin Bururu. Welcome all to this Nyakina country. This is the map of the Nyakina and Mangala country. Terrific. That is a magnificent tree. How old is that? How old is that tree? It's almost like it's got a hand sticking out there. And there is also, and this is reasonably common with some of these boab trees, I'm told, they used to use them as prison trees. They'd put people in there and put chains across and bars and make them stay in there. Of course, the vandals have been at work. Ian, Tom and Gina and Chuck, Chaz and Veroni and Jerry, and they all have to leave their mark. They're like dogs that piss against trees. I guess we all need to do that, don't we? We all want some measure of immortality. Man, that is one spectacular tree. Look at it. Beautiful. And it's got the seeds on it, the seed pods on it. I don't know if I suppose they're coming out. If you look closely, you'll see them. Beautiful. Oh, what a tree. Well done,
And
old
just
tree.
as we're leaving,
A caravan pulls up to have a rest and admire that magnificent tree. Look at that. And there's its baby brother. That might take a few hundred years to get to that size. Okay, onwards to Fitzroy Crossing. Ahead there in the distance, these mesa looking mountains. It's called the Erskine Range. I don't think it was named after Andy Erskine, no, that was Andy Irvine that went with Hillary up the Himalayas. Not Hillary, Mallory. Different guy. A bicyclist. Fitzroy Crossing. I nearly said Falls Creek. That's in Victoria. So we'll get some fuel here and then we shall continue on to Mimbi. Okay, so 198850. Okay, well we got our fuel at Fitzroy Crossing and now we're heading to our next location, which is Mimbi. And according to my two GPS machines, they were unable to calculate the route given the coordinates that I gave them. So we've done the next best thing and we have programmed it to take us to Ngumban Cliff Lookout, which we will recall we went to last time up here a few months ago. So I know Mimbi is a few kilometres this side of Ngumban Cliff, so that's good enough. You can pick out, but there's the purple patches there. I believe it's mulla mulla, and they're out in flower. It's beautiful. There's this little purple blanket across patches of the ground as you see it. So I suppose we're in the middle of our wildflower season after all the rains we had from April through May. So they're all out in flower. They look really, really spectacular when you hit well, I suppose that's where the term the purple patch comes from. Beautiful. I hope that's picking out the little purple tinge. I'm sure they're called mulla mulla, but it could be nulla nulla. I'm not sure. It all sounds the same to me. See a lot of little termite mounds up here as well. Termite country. I think they've been doing some fire landscaping since I was up here. I don't recall this section being burnt, but that's how the traditional custodians of the land manage it, with fire. Well, we're coming up to the Mimbi Caves turn-off in less than a kilometre now. So we'll turn off to the left and go down the track to what I believe now is the tour office. Anyway, here's the sign. So this is where we were 3.5 months ago. Campground is open. Turn off 3.4 k's to the